People in AEW are not happy with Tony Khan after some very interesting decisions. Plus, people aren't even happy in TNA because of, well, they're bringing back Tessa Blanchard, and we are going to talk about SmackDown's newest acquisition. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ango Show. We're going to kick things off with Tessa Blanchard. I made a video on this earlier today in case you missed it. Tessa Blanchard is coming back to TNA, and this was met with a lot of concern. Sean Ross Sapp came out and reported that Jordan Grace has pushed back with TNA in regards to working with Tessa Blanchard, which is the plans. Basically, the person who made this decision is somebody who is a top person in Anthem, the parent company of TNA. There were warnings from others within the organization, and basically this information has been kept relatively quiet because they wanted to avoid internal backlash. Many people are uncomfortable with Blanchard's past actions. Now, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Mike Gilbert on Twitter. He's a fellow content creator, and I think he put out a really good reminder because a lot of people don't remember this. But Tessa Blanchard, before the allegations and the stories coming out of her being racist backstage and stuff like that, before, like even after that happened, TNA at the time, Anthem, had crowned Tessa Blanchard world champion. The reason why they got rid of her was basically because she went to Mexico and kept their title belt hostage. Her contract was set to expire. They never got her to bring it back, and essentially it just led to a breakdown in communication between the two, and a lot of the fingers being pointed to were at Tessa Blanchard. So at one point, Anthem didn't even fire her for those allegations that were put out there. Now, with that being said, there is a lot of pushback from people in TNA. There's a lot of pushback from people in the IWC. The current plan is for Tessa Blanchard to work as a heel in TNA. I do believe in second chances. I think, there's been circumstances in AEW, in WWE, and in TNA where people have really effed up and they were given a second chance. So, my personal opinion, I think at the end of the day, Tessa Blanchard, she has people to apologize to. This is going to be met with controversy. It is controversial for sure. But at the same time, too, it's important that Anthem knows what they're getting themselves into because, as you guys know, people could change, right? But at the same time, too, there is a high risk factor here. And whatever happens with Tessa Blanchard and TNA, hopefully it results in something good. But obviously, I understand why everybody is on the fence about it. Let's talk about SmackDown's newest acquisition, ladies and gentlemen. It's Braun Strowman. This is a little bit underwhelming. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Nick Aldis says that SmackDown's newest acquisition will be going up against Carmelo Hayes, and everybody's like super excited about who it could be. There's people speculating it could have been Penta. There's a lot of people speculating just so much, but it's not. That's not the plan here. It's actually really strange that WWE kind of hyped this up. Carmelo Hayes has been on social media hyping this up only for it to be Braun Strowman. And guys, don't get me wrong. I like Braun Strowman. I think he's a hell of a talent. I think he is a really good talent, honestly. And him going to SmackDown is a great idea. However, I think we need to be a little bit careful if you're the WWE when it comes to promoting this stuff. We understand that there's a transfer portal. People are going to be switching brands. But the way they kind of made it seem was that it was going to be somebody new, or at least an NXT call-up, which I can understand why people at some point believed, hey, you know what? Yeah, it might be an NXT call-up. It might be Ethan Page, or it might be Penta or something. Listen, here's the thing. SmackDown, Raw, the rosters need to get balanced. I think a lot of people are going to understand, after Raw is on Netflix, how important the balancing of rosters is. Braun Strowman could bring a lot of credibility to SmackDown, and if Cody Rhodes remains on SmackDown and Cody Rhodes retains the belt as Saturday night's main event, for sure, like there is an opportunity for WWE to There's an opportunity for WWE to put Braun Strowman in the world title picture if they so choose. But even if they don't want to do that, if they want to have him go up for the United States Championship, they can do that as well. But it just comes down to one thing. The rosters need balancing. It's a big issue with WWE. Both shows are going to be 3 hours long. There's going to be NXT call-ups. WWE's doing a double taping. You know, they're trying to give people holiday time off. So I fully expect WWE to be put in a position where not only will they balance the rosters, but after the new year, I fully expect a huge mix-up between all three shows, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Really, SmackDown right now, as it stands, without a roster shakeup, it is relatively light on credible talent. So at least Braun Strowman brings credibility in whatever he ends up doing. I find it interesting that they're going to separate him and Bronson Reed because I feel like there's more to that story that they can tell. But at this point in time, there are no plans for that. And obviously, Bronson Reed is currently out with injury, so that is something to keep in mind. And who knows what's going to happen with the Wyatt Six. But obviously, they've kept Braun Strowman away from that as well. So just something to pay attention to. And that brings us to our final story. People in AEW are really, really appalled by this. Brian Alvarez was talking about this with Dave Meltzer. And, you know, basically what he says is people in AEW are really just appalled that Tony Storm's return match is on Rampage. You know, and listen, I think this is a really, really fascinating story. Tony Storm returned at the end of Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was a relatively good episode. Tony Storm's first match is announced for Rampage, and then she's going to be on Collision as well. Rampage and Collision are dead on the water. Like, we could sit here and debate it all you guys want. I don't think anybody really has the confidence to debate the value of Collision and Rampage being anything other than just simply more content for AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery. Those shows don't carry as much substance. I know they're trying to make it feel that way with Tony's return and with the Continental Classic, but the reality is those shows, they're low viewership, they're low attendance. Like, people do not care about those shows. They don't really maintain a lot of value. And basically, Alvarez was saying, like, people argue things with Tony Khan every single week, and at the end of the day, he does whatever he wants. I mean, the reality is, if you're Tony Khan, at what point do you decide that you are going to listen to certain people? You know, and I hate to say this, but, like, this is starting to remind me a little bit of Vince McMahon in 2019 when people would say the same thing to Vince. Vince, you are not making the decisions that are best for the company's creative. You need to do something different. And Vince would just shut down ideas all the time. And it was such a bogus TV show to watch. I mean, half of the time, there was more bad about the show than good. And guys, it's 2024 AEW, 5 years of business. Tony Khan is not an idiot. Tony Khan has written good shows before, and for some reason, he's making decisions like this, and Rampage is being freaking canceled by the end of the year anyways. You're supposed to build your stars, which, by the way, Tony Storm is a star. She just had the most over gimmick on their television product, and she comes back reverting to her old gimmick. And then, by the way, we're just going to throw you on Rampage. Perception's reality. When you throw somebody of that caliber on Rampage, you're not making me want to watch Rampage. You're basically telling me I shouldn't give a shit. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.